I like that shirt, by the way. I like that gray, like, kind of swoop thing.
I've missed you.
I missed you too. I was like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I'm so excited for you in the job. I got a good feeling about it.
Oh, I saw my DM, my district manager today. My boss was like super nervous because like she wants to make a good impression. And like since I've worked in the kitchen, like I've had chefs approach me and be extra like mean or have the intimidating like whatever. But like again, like I've played that game before. I'm not intimidated by you. And again, it's really just looking at the person behind the position and
Yeah.
seeing that, oh, they just want you to succeed too. They're not intimidating you because they want to scare you. But again, like me being a Gemini, I'm like, I'm not intimidated. I'm gonna treat you like a real person. And sometimes they like it and sometimes they don't. But
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to calm down everyone's energies. I was like, listen, why are we pretending that like, hi, hello everyone? I'm like, just be natural. And
Yeah.
then everyone was like, how did you do that? How did you get the music turned back on? I'm like, I'm a witch.
It's
But look at
very,
this energy today. Can we look at you and just see how the softness that you've become from the past week?
yeah. And you know what? I'm glad I called you that night, like before I was like planning on doing this, because acceptance came up and I was like, this is really something that I am going to have to work on. And I just remember, what was it? Was it the full moon energy? Like we're all crying and like I remember being in the shower and I was crying and I was just like, Mother, all I want is to learn acceptance. I just want to learn, I just want to have acceptance. And it's just like, we know what acceptance is. It's just like, it is what it is. It's like, but acceptance on like situations, things, everyone, and like, but being so empathic, it's so hard at times. Um, but I'm glad I got stopped before I did what I did because I know that would have been some really bad. And then I changed out the petition for the other one. Um, but still, that was me kind of going in with this. It was like giving my, I guess, 15-year-old self like permission of like, you are a witch now. I'm allowing you to be one. And sometimes there does need to be a balance, regardless if you think if you're going to get some sort of karma, which I don't believe in. Um, I think there is some way that there are balancing of the scales. And when bad things do happen, it is life. But when those things happen, it's just paying attention to the signs of certain things. Um, so, and really, it was more for the betterment of other people. And I kind of feel like at the same time, too, and this is what I've struggled with, it's like not necessarily the Morrigan being like a dark goddess, because she's both. She is light and dark. And it's learning how to work with the two and learning discernment. And so the discernment is, it's like, when is it necessary to go like battle fury? You know what I mean? And I'm like, look, I'm removing myself from the situation. There are other people here. I can smell through the bull, and I caught you. And so I don't have to do it, but I'm going to, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It feels it's I guess what I'm hearing is that what you're saying is I don't want to do it, but I guess I have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like again, like we're very familiar with like Gemini being I think we're just starting right now. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly. Welcome to, I think, the 4th episode of Down the Rabbit Hole with Omar and Gwen. Also featuring my spirit guide Susie, because she knows she's got to make an appearance.
Hi, Susie. We appreciate you being here, and we would like this podcast to go well and uninterrupted. And we love you.
That we do. But welcome, guys. This is our 4th episode, and thank you guys so much for like the reception and the comments, and just even like tuning in to us just having these conversations. Because again, without you guys, like without this art being even listened to, we're not creating conversation. We're not changing the world. And I think that's what our intention behind the podcast is. And we probably mentioned this multiple times throughout this recordings through videos, but we believe that we have conversations on the phone. Why not just share with everybody? Anyways,
Yeah.
But piggybacking on what you were saying before, which pretty much, I guess what I was hearing is sort of the Lover's card and how it's Gemini. But then you notice how like the Devil card is associated with Capricorn.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
And it's sort of the same symbolism, you know? But with the Lover's card, it's really just seeing the contrasts. Being like, okay, this is the perspective, the highest perspective that you can see the contrast. But I guess the Devil card is, I guess, the lower octave of feeling that trappedness, of that feeling that you're like trapped and you can't get out, and you're like pacifying yourself through addictive behaviors, whether they be through sex or even like negative behavioral patterns to cope,
Yeah.
And you're both those things, which is fairly interesting, you're Capricorn and Gemini.
Yeah. And I guess like this is the first time I've actually like looked visually of both cards in my head when you brought it up, and I'm talking about Rider Waite version because there's so many, but like yes, you see the couple in the Devil card being shackled, and the lovers are very much interconnected, but it's such a happy card. I was listening to someone else with the explanation of the Devil card, and it is kind of like that message of giving like the warning, but also I think it's also a helpful message of just being aware, seeing the duality in things, like a Gemini, and you are my twin, you're my Twinkie, and like yeah, it's because for a long time, I mean, I was telling you about this, I'm describing things, it's like when I'd get so angry, like there was no like turning back. And there's times where I catch myself on certain things, it's not everything, like I was mad at the world at one point, but like um it's picking and choosing like what battles is worth fighting. Because for me, being a daughter of the Morrigan, because I've dedicated myself to her very early on than most people do, and some people can agree with that and some people don't, but I felt that really strong connection with her. And she's like you need me, um and I am calling on you. And at some point it was, I also got the message of, and I need you. There's this thing, in all honesty, she is a goddess, she really doesn't need me, she has children all over. But I'm trying to do the due diligence of being one of her children, of the discernment, when doing things are necessary. And she has changed my life so very much in the last several months. Like, I get so emotional. She's not like that loving motherly tough love, but not the motherly nurturing love, but there are sides of her that I do see that is very like motherly and nurturing, but like, hey, you fell, get up. Like, it's okay. Like, you got this. Keep going, you know?
No, I hear you. It's sort of like that when when you have like, I guess, toddlers and they're like learning how to walk, and it's sort of like when parents like make a fuss like, oh my god, like, oh my god, you fell down, and it's really reinforcing the behavior at a very young age to be like, oh yay, you get up, yay, you fell down, oh my god, it's fine, you're good. And if you coddle your children into thinking like, oh my god, you're hurt, like you can't get up, oh my god, like you're never going to do that again, and then it causes this fear of like, well, I don't want. And you see the reaction from everyone, you're like, oh, was that bad? Was I not supposed to do that? um why do you think that there's a lot of sort of misinformation and a misunderstanding of the Morrigan?
For one, with the books that are done about her, her names have changed. She has facets. I like to call them facets. They are also known as sisters. So you have Maka, Anu, Neiman, Five, or Bhavkata. And there is another one. The other thing is, I covered this in another video, but like like that's gonna be a whole other topic. The Celts were already established where they were. Okay, they had their own society. They had their way that they dress. They loved going to war. But really it was for them, they weren't unreasonable people. It was just kind of like if somebody was moving into the territory, they were just like, look, these are the terms and conditions. You need to agree with it. If you don't, then we're going to go fight it out. Like they had like the liaison, and so these are the stories. So things got lost in translation. The other thing too is the Celts were very big on using their words, which is why they had the druids. And again, I'm probably butchering this, but this is the best that I can explain it. But everything was through word of mouth. And what I got so kind of in the about, especially like with, and it's not uncommon to hear it with anybody who has been struggling with like a religion or spirituality, but when it's the imposing on Christianity or Catholicism, which runs very heavy in my family, because they had observed the orishas in Brazil, which is African culture. So what they did in hiding, because it wasn't accepted, was they used the saints from the Bible and prayed to them, like the Virgin Mary would have been seen as Yamaya or Yamanja or Yamoya. It is all one and the same. So so when I read another story like that, and then learning about her and the stories and how things were lost, how they viewed women, the Celts respected the women so much in that culture. And then when you see them going off to war, which quite honestly, the women were a little more scarier than the men at the time. And I can see that. I really can. But at some extent, I think in one of the books, I can't remember which one, it could be Stephanie Woodfield or the other one, that I had just picked up, and I apologize, I don't remember the author, but there was somebody who came in and saw the wives, the mothers that were in the battlefield and dead, and it's like, we cannot see this anymore. So it's kind of like there's the empathy there I can see, but it changes that culture. And so you have word of mouth where things were not written down, they were memorized, the stories that keep getting passed down. But then when you have these monks that come in that are trying to promote a Christianity religion, things are turned around, you know, and it's like finding out, well, did Jesus really, was he born on Christmas Day? No, he wasn't, you know, like if you actually read it. You know, it's just these things that kind of, they get changed over time. And so it's something that I'm working with, but like, you know, but I get it. And it's just something I have to process. But I love the stories that I know so far, people, their own experiences with the Morrigan, and how they come to her. And who can deny you, kind of like we were talking on spirit guides on the last episode, how can we deny what you experience versus what another person had? Does that make sense?
No, it does, because I guess the way I'm hearing it, the way I feel about her is that it's sort of like telephone, but at the same time, I think she's really cool in the way that, like, oh, you want to know about me? Well, get to know me. Like, you've heard from other people, but again, it's always about the personal relationship that you hold, because I I've always stated that the Morrigan's daughters have been nothing but supremely kind to me. And not only kind to me, but have shown me how they have risen into their own divinity and power through their mother. And she is not my goddess. She's not my deity personally. But what I do have to say is are that her daughters are kick-ass. Her daughters truly know the transmutation, the alchemy of going within and really doing the deep healing so that you can really show everyone, like a phoenix, I am not to be fucked with. And to be honest, like the gifts I've been given through her daughters, whether it be through, more through Anne and her oils and stuff, because like before I started feeling like I wanted to rise, I would use her, the Morrigan's oils all the time. There was a new moon and the full moon. And I would like, she, when I was starting to want to really change and rise, like from, I want to say maybe in January. January was really that, like, that moment in time for myself to like, all right, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the decay, tired of feeling all this. And so I was like, I don't have a personal relationship with her, but every single time I would use those oils, I would feel like, wow, like, and her Anne's oils, I think the new moon is a lot more of that like rose, but like a lot more potent. And I think the full moon is a lot more softer. It's a white rose. And whenever I put on like the new moon one, I just felt like her energy of like, today we're gonna like walk straighter. Today we're not gonna be with. Today we are going to show up, and are not only are we going to show up, but I would call out to her and I'm like, Mother Morrigan, please give me the strength today to really stand in solidarity on my own without the pacification of just having like, I guess a person as like a security blanket. And like, then lo and behold, like crows, you know, so many of them. And then I see them and I'm like, I hear you, I see you, I feel you. And I think that what I also find kind of like fascinating as well is that like even through Kelly of the Morrigan Instagram, if you guys are interested in following her, she's an amazing healer. I love her. She's really the one that connected all of us. And to be honest, like I forgot the point what I was trying to make, but to be honest, it her daughters and even like I guess she herself has shown me like, wow, through Kelly's community, you're the only male that really comes on all the time. And I remember even like being a new member of the community and like I was just, showing up and saying things. And I remember like Kelly even stating like Omar is so in tune with the divine feminine, like he's cool. Because it's not that like I wouldn't interact with other people, but I think it was until like Kelly was like really engaging with me, like, oh no, I know you. Like, I know you. So it was really nice to get that sort of like, I guess, invitation being like, although he might be a male, like he's one of us. He's with us. And it's funny that you mentioned like Celtic culture because women are revered supremely more than males are. And in my life, like it was through the women in my life that had shown me their own strength that like, you know what, like although I didn't like have a personal like growing relationship with my biological father, it was through the collective experiences of like, your aunts and your other women that you're surrounded with. And I've always been sort of like um I've always gravitated towards stronger, really strong, emotionally strong-willed women that have like, I'm not praising their pain or their suffering, but knowing how they were able to rise really inspired me to, step into my own femininity. Whereas before I was ashamed about it, and not in the way that like, again, self-acceptance and realizing like, well, I am a male that is giving himself permission to be feminine, but also um being surrounded by so much women that like open arms and really just like, no, like we see you and we like you, and not only do we like you, but we come like you bring something. And I feel like even through I don't work with the Morrigan to believe that I'm a friend of hers, and she even inspires me to, you know, regurgitate words that aren't my own to other people, and other
Mhm.
to her other daughters, being like, you do a lot of talking and not a lot of doing. And I know that if I was told that, I'd been like, don't tell me that. I don't need to hear that. But again, I know someone that I believe that is a daughter of the Morrigan, and they were trying to tell me information and trying to ask, trying to make sense of things. And I'm like, listen, you're doing a lot of talking and not a lot of doing. And if you've been called, like you have been seeing strange occurrences, again, I'm just Hermes. I'm just relaying the message, and I'm not going to pacify you. So if you, it's like, are you
Yeah.
ready to rise or you're not? And again,
Yeah.
like you can't do it alone. You have sisters all around you, and
Yeah.
and I don't, again, I don't know if I have had moments with Morgan, but I know that like we cool, you know, because she knows that like
Yes.
I'm just being the mirror to all of y'all as y'all have been to me, in a
Right.
very like sassy but just like straightforward, like I expected more from you. And not only did I expect more from you, but like you're doing a lot of talk and a lot of complaining and not a lot of doing.
You know how synchronicity is? Um, I'll let her tell her story if she wants to. So I'm not going to use her name, but I um the phrase that you used was I expected more from you. Okay. This is how great things line up, because I was so concerned at the very beginning of this journey that I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know if I'm supposed to incorporate religion with witchcraft. And spirituality and religion are two different things. But because of what people understand the Morrigan to be without not working with her or further researching or hearing like the stories about her being in battle and being the banshee and always taking a pound of
Susie and the
flesh.
Banshees.
Oh, hi, Sue. That was a good breakaway because I was getting a little emotional and I was like, I don't want to cry. I know I'm gonna cry. I know I will cry, but I did really feel like the Morrigan's presence today in all her glorious forms. So thank you. But I had her statue because I heard her in the statue. I asked the lady at the counter, I said, and I didn't know shit about her. I didn't know shit. And I heard a voice and I was like, that's new. And again, it was the thing of like, don't you walk away from me, because again, I was like, I want to be a witch. I'm learning to be a witch. I don't know what I need. So of course, here's the thing. You get so into it, you're just like, I need to buy all the things, all the candles, all the herbs, all the books, all the crystals. I'm still working on that though, but anyway. But I was like, do I need a statue? Do I have to have a statue? Should I read first? You know, and I'm like looking to see if there's like something I resonate with, and there were similar ones actually. No, she's chilling. I'm gonna leave her. Yeah, she's so pretty. I'm just gonna leave her there right now. But it's very tiny, very discreet, and I picked her up. I said, "You're beautiful." I just said that. It's a clay statue. It's got a crow on her side. There's no face. She's in like a cape kind of draped, is just sitting, and a little red bead with a, is it red? It could be a red or black feather. I can't remember because it's off on the side. But I said, okay, I think I'm gonna put her down. So I put her down and I turn around, and right before I hit the threshold, before I go to the other side of the store, at the checkout counter, I hear, "Do not walk away from me." Hi? And it's like, "Do not walk away from me." And so I go back, I pick her up, and it's like, "Hey, you came here. You're gonna need me, and I'm gonna need you." I'm like, okay. So I go to the owner of the shop and I said, okay. I said, I saw this card and it says the Morrigan. I don't know much about her. I was like, is she really bossy? Like, if you hear her. And I was like, I am so new at this. I don't know. And they were like, oh, yeah. If you heard that, then yeah, she's talking to you. So it's like, you just need to listen. I'm like, okay. So I take her home, listen, and again, between from what people know, what people hear, I got scared working with her. And then what I was trying to process from family and trying to make sense of it, I put her away. I had to get in a very meditative state to travel with my dad, my grandmother, George, whoever else was with me. And I said, look, I'm meeting with you because I think I was being naive and I made a mistake. I'm just not sure, like, and I'm sorry. And that's what I heard was, I expected more from you. I expected more from you. And she's like, okay, that's fine. So I put her in a shelf way in the back, put it in way in the back in an office. And I kept having this feeling. I kept having this feeling I was still being watched. It was just, I felt so much shame for it. And I'm not trying to make this whole podcast about my journey with the Morgan, but like,
no, by all means, go off.
But yeah, she would kind of occasionally show up on when I felt like I needed something more. Like there was like something was happening or something was going down, and like I needed an extra so I was doing the best that I could, and like, so when I try to like prepare, get my head and on straight and ground, and I heard her voice a couple times like, hey, so I can help you. I'm like, well, what do you want? She's like, You can put me back on the altar. I'm like, I'm good. I I was like, no, and I said, I'm sorry, and so she said, that's fine. I'll still help you anyway. But just know you are going to see me again. And she was so absolutely right. It was to show that I needed a backbone this year. She came as Anu, Bafkata, and Maka, all three in the year. And I had no clue. I had no clue. So the more it came around, talking to Kelly, with some of the facets of the Morrigan, I think Anu has the heifer, Maka has the wolf. Both of those are my spirit animals. I don't know of any other ones that I have, but those two specific.
For some reason, like there's a like lyric from the song by Father John Misty, and it's called "When You're Smiling and Astride Me." And in the song, he says, "There's no need to fear me. I love you as you are when you're alone."
Yes.
And I don't know why I was just like, it's very that to me, because it's like I felt like she was sort of, she saw your fear, but it was really just not affirming, like, listen, we're going to work together, and I can see how you're intimidated right now, but this intimidation is coming from insecurity, but I'm here to show you what your power is. And it was your power that was perhaps like you were afraid of, because you're like, it's not that you were afraid of rising, it was just like realizing how powerful you really are, and realizing like, oh wait, it's like the Umbrella Academy moment. She was like, wow, like I've been pacified, I've been told, and it's like, just letting you know you're stronger than you know.
Yeah. The whole concept of like, and you hear it from other people sharing, like, she's so demanding. And I'm like, I think she does give some sort of grace. I
I
truly
feel like
feel.
she reminds me so much of a Virgo, because like Virgos tend to be like, we're skimming out all the fat and giving you things that you need to heal. Because I'm
Yes.
not going to give you things, medicine with sugar and all the, added ingredients. I'm going to give you what you need and the tools to get where you need to go. But that's it. And it's really just you using your own power and energy and magic to create something so out of body, out of yourself, that you're like, see, that's where you are. You don't need these extra things. And I think that even when you were talking about how you felt like, funny that I mentioned Morgan and Kelly the Morgan, just like my Instagram video. She knows. I think, again,
She
she reminds me so
does.
much of a Virgo. She's very Virgo like an energy to me, because like she's very like demanding. She's very, I don't know. What I'm feeling is that she's very straight to the point, and as a Virgo would, will tell you like it is. Oh, you want my opinion? I'll tell you my opinion. You're not gonna like my opinion, but I'm gonna tell you what it is. I'm not gonna lie to you, because if you're looking for someone to fluff it up, you've come to the wrong person. Obviously, you're approaching me with a sense of truth. So again, when I put on those oils, I was like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm safe. I'm safe. You can do this. And, you would have like these moments of like panic in the bathroom, like, oh my God, it's really busy today and I'm freaking out. But then again, she was like, you're good. You're good. I don't know why you're shaking. Like you're surrounded by so much like protection that you are unwilling to trust, but again, it's not until you experience
Mhm.
her through that way of like, it's not that she's like a helicopter parent. She's just like, I dropped you off at school. Like, now it's time for you to do the work, and I'll pick you up at a certain time. But like, just
Yeah.
know that you have to be ready when I'm there.
Oh yeah.
Itinerary, Virgo.
She likes to pick the stubborn children, which I am a stubborn ass. And I had to work through that. And I still am stubborn. Um and sh- and I find it so interesting because kind of like the Capricorn for me, for being like the sun and ascending rising, um I like the order and discipline. Like, it's so strange for a stubborn ass, to be like, I don't like order, but it's like I do like order. And so if I get a message, if I'm meditating or if I hear her and I get the whole like, you need to do this, I'm like, okay. And then something else takes precedence and she's like, I'm going to give you the count of 3. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like instantaneous, but it's kind of like when the thought comes and it's like, shit, I forgot to do that. Oh, I was like, I'm trying not to cuss, but it's okay. Um, but yeah, like I do feel like yeah, it's like if it comes up again, she's like, all right, we're on 2. And then she waits till 3 and see what I do if I hop into action. And that's the thing, it's where people are just like, she's so demanding. I'm like, but that's just like any other parent. I guess like with my mother was very demanding. I guess there's a sense of comfort in that, but like
Mhm.
I'm just like, I don't um I love that she's in my life. I mean, I couldn't help but like start getting teary-eyed again about it. Like, she's just so prominent in my life. She makes sure that I'm safe. She makes sure that my family's safe, the house is safe. Um, the other thing too is that, and I don't believe in this.
It's very like Sade's like, um, what's that song by Sade where she talks about like you think I'd leave your side, you know me better than that. By Your Side by Sade.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Very
If You're
that.
Gone, I think it's kind of like, yeah. Um, I know exactly which song you're talking about. Exactly. Now, and the other, again, it's not to step on anybody's toes who is a child of the Morrigan and how they practice and how they dedicate themselves to her. Um, I ask her for permission, obviously, when I'm doing a working. The other stuff that I have done before, she still allows me to do, working with angels, working with demons, still working with what I grew up with, because she's like, you don't realize you use one. I want to see you thrive and succeed. Okay. So if there is an entity that is for your betterment, why not? For your good, and for these things, not to be a detriment to your life. Okay. So there's that. So I ask her for permission first, and that is a very good gauge on a lot of things. And especially when I'm feeling all like, and I don't know how loud that was, but even for workings, there's times where I'm just like, I kind of feel like you're wanting me to do this. She's like, ask me again, phone a friend. um, because I'm just like, I don't agree. I don't agree.
Mhm.
The cool thing is that even though I know if I mess up, she is still my mother and I am hers. And she's still gonna love me regardless, and she still shows up. And it's like, I know you're freaking stubborn. I told you not to do this. yes, there's going to be repercussions. You don't know when, you don't know how, but like, look, you know, you wanted to see what happens. It's kind of like how I grew up with. It's like, you're going to see the consequences if they do happen. And I'm like, you know what? I guess I'm repeating my childhood all over again, you know? And I'm okay with that. And maybe I can process it a little bit better, but she does help my weaknesses become my strengths. And I think you have found that too, in some sort of comfort as well. It's like, hey, snap out of it for a minute. Like, yeah, let's cut the fat and let's get to the lean meat. And yeah, but I mean, she's so much more than just this battle fury banshee, um, you know, making the battlefield rain with blood to scare the enemy, you know. Um, she showed strength, she showed wisdom, she teaches sovereignty, she but yeah, I honor all of her in all her forms. So, you know, so yeah.
I do too. Again, like I say, like I feel like I'm devoted to her through her daughters
Mhm.
because they have shown me so much of myself. And
Yeah.
it's the way that she does it in a way where it's like, I'm showing you stimuli, I'm showing you things so that you can confirm through you using
Mhm.
yourself, being like, oh no, it wasn't them, it was you. It was through my daughters. It was
Mhm.
through this community that you've seen that we can hurt, but we're not going to allow the pain to continue. And again, it's gonna hurt when the healing process like happens. It's gonna hurt, but you have to rehabilitate yourself, because if you don't, you're no one's gonna do it for you. Your leg's not
Mhm.
gonna magically like rehabilitate itself. You have to put in the work. And I think with the Morrigan, she's all about like, you say you're committed, but you do a lot of talking and a lot of doing.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Yes.
like that because she's always been so reaffirming of just like, even I mean, even through you or through Kelly or any other daughter that I've known that belongs to her, that I'm like, no, I need that push, but it's also that when it's directed back at me, I'm like, gotcha, I know, no, you're right. But you know, it's that like tough love sort of medicine of like, I'm not gonna lie to you because I
Yeah.
love you. And if I
Yeah.
didn't tell you this, it's because I actually love you, and I don't want to hurt you. I don't want you to hurt yourself in the process. And
Yeah.
I am more than, again, grateful for her daughters, for her, because like, oof, what a
Yeah.
woman.
And all of us are I find I give thoughtfulness because we're all from so many different backgrounds, and it's like, you know, we don't compare like, you know, like, well, somebody had it worse than I did. Maybe, you know, that's kind of like the thing. No, it doesn't really matter. Like, any trauma is trauma, period. And
But everybody
so
loves a come up story.
everyone loves a come up story. And like, but you know, like, I mean, not to get into comparison, but I'm just kind of like, but man, there are some women in this community where it's just like, oh, like
Mm-hmm.
you know, I really had it good, you know, but like it wasn't really that bad, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But trauma is still trauma. The story is still that person's story, and just being like, there's a mutual respect, you know, like we respect each other, you and I, and we get it. And it's again with the saying of the words, with not even having to say anything. And it's like, I see you, I hear you, I feel you know, and you don't have to explain it if you don't want to. I get it, you know, and those are, yeah. So I try to be the warrior every day. And I wanted to tell you before we actually started, you were like, you just look so like different from compared to last week and today, like softer. I had a friend I went to go see, and she said the exact same thing. She goes, there's just something, she goes, I meant to tell you this yesterday. Um, there was just something so different about you. And it's her. That's all I can say. I was like, oh, I could be the toner that I'm using. I did tell her that today. She was like, your skin looks so good. But I was like, I really feel like it's not just what you see on my face. I think it's the work that I'm putting in, the talking
grace
to
and
her.
passion.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that even right now, even looking at you, or even like through conversation we had over the phone, like before this recording, like I think that you put down your sword and realize, as the Morrigan, I could annihilate you, but I'm not going to do that today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not today.
Yeah.
And that's where true, like, strength lies, of like, I could hurt you, but I'm not going to do it, because you know what? There is a lesson within knowing one's strength. I mean, again, it's like a puppy dog that doesn't know that it's so big and it, knocking everything down. But when it gets older, it's like, oh, well, I'm this size. Okay, I'm very much spatially aware of myself,
Yeah. Well, this was kind of good, like talking about mothers for today's topic on inner
I know we were
child.
talking about like we had something in mind, but now we're just like, I guess it's just really that episode dedicated to like the Morrigan, to be honest. Because like within,
unless we're gonna knock 2 videos out today. I'm just kidding.
Maybe. Finishing, or I guess even like having a 2-part of all of this, like we were talking about how Morrigan is your mother, but even as we had our little break, I remembered that we wanted to talk about healing our inner child, but again, perhaps our inner child even with yourself working with the Morrigan has taught you how to repair those like traumatic like childhood experiences of doing it the wrong way because you were told that, or perhaps even as when you were younger, others were quite aware of your strength and they were like, oh no, we need to like, we can't have that.
16 years. You hit your teenage years, you get rebellious, and so you do the things that any rebellious teenager would do, and you have parents that are concerned in your well-being and stuff like that, especially being the firstborn and the girl, and I'm sure people can relate. But I had that moment where I told my stepdad that, well, what are you concerned about me for? Like, you're not even my real dad. And that opened the can of worms to come to find out that he was actually my biological father.
I resonated a lot with what you said, because I grew up in a very Christian Baptist upbringing, and we were told that we weren't allowed to watch Harry Potter or even celebrate or participate in Halloween. When I was like, fairly really young, like probably perhaps until the age of 7 or something, I would dress up because I wanted to, and other than that, like I never had the opportunity to dress up because, again, within the conditioning of the church and the school I went to, they scared me into believing that like, well, that's bad. And I was like, well, I don't want to be bad. Like, I'm going to be good and a fully obedient child. And I guess throughout growing up, I always felt like I don't belong here. But for some reason, like, this is all I've ever known.